A lot of players are dealing with this. He should be good for the start of the season. However, if he's not ready, Jake Diekman could fill in as closer to start the season.
Is it worth handcuffing Diekman, you think, for Rosenthal here? How serious is the groin is what I'm asking.
They're saying it's minor, and they're saying he should be good to start the season, but everyone's saying that at this point, so it's really hard to tell. You need to make sure that for all these pitchers and all these relievers to see if they're getting in-game action at least 2 weeks before the season starts. If they're not in-game action with 2 weeks before the season starts, then they're behind, and they're not going to be ready for opening day.
Okay, so the advice I think you're giving is that if you see Rosenthal get into game action 2 weeks before the season, you're probably okay with not rostering Diekman. Otherwise, grab him right away.
Correct.
Okay. Hunter Harvey of Baltimore. Is it even worth going at all for any Baltimore bullpen guys this year?
Well, I think not, because I think they have a 0% chance of making the playoffs. That's what every projection is showing right now, which means they're not going to win a lot of games. I like their offense a lot better than their pitching, though, Baltimore. They have a lot of intriguing guys in the offense, especially since they picked up Maikel Franco. I think he's going to slide in right there, and he's going to have a field day out there in Baltimore. But with Hunter Harvey, Orioles manager Brandon Hyde confirmed that Harvey will be sidelined indefinitely with a left oblique strain. So that means he will not be ready to start opening day, probably. He will not be the starting closer. So you can pick whoever you want. They have Tanner Scott, Sean Armstrong, Cesar Valdez. Whoever you want, I'm sure they're available on the waiver wire if you really want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, is it worth playing? Is it worth picking up the second guy in Baltimore even for just a little bit?
Well, if you have limited closers and you don't have good starters and they're available and you can get them for next to nothing and they're going to get the saves, that's fine. But you don't know what's going to happen out there, because last year, before they traded, I think it was Miguel Castro, he saved some games. Then Hunter Harvey was supposed to save some games. Then they were all over the place. They couldn't really find someone who was actually good. They haven't had really a closer since Zach Britton.
I mean, how desperate for saves do you have to be to pick up whatever you think your guess is on Baltimore for the first 2 weeks of the season? Like, how desperate do you have to be? Because the ratios aren't going to be fantastic from whoever you're going to get anyways.
No, if anything, if you want saves, you just wait till later in the season and you know who the actual closer is going to be. Then you may get some value out of a Baltimore closer, let's say end of August, beginning of September, when you need to get saves late.
Of course, the fab for whoever you pick up is going to be 0 right now. So,
yes.
It's hard to beat free. That's another thing. Maybe pick up and don't play if you have the spot. Like, I'm just trying to think about what to do. In a shallow league, I would just forget it. You have to be in a deep league.
Shallow league, I'd rather have a middle reliever.
Right, correct. I think I'd rather have a middle reliever in even like a 15-team mixed. If you're in a mono league, obviously, I would think that you should take a shot here. The Orioles got Maikel Franco, but they let go of Renato Nunez, almost the same type of player, right?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense whatsoever. I think it just has to do about money there.
Yeah,
they're going on the cheap, and that's just about it, because they're very similar type players. They are power hitters with low batting average, and that's just about it.
A little bit higher up, but it's like the Cubs with Jock Peterson and Kyle Schwarber, where they got rid of one in favor for the other. I mean, one is not so much better than the other, right?
Yeah, or it's the Cubs getting rid of Albert Almora and then signing what's his name from the Mets, who was on the Mets last year, the defensive center fielder.
Juan Lagares? No, not Lagares.
Yes, no, not Lagares.
He's with the Angels. What's his name? Marisnik, Jake Marisnik.
Jake Marisnik. Same idea. They're just trading because they want to get they want to pay less. That's all it is.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, well, this is a great injury recap here, injury update here for everyone who's thinking about some of these players. Obviously, we gave the fantasy spin on some of these guys, what to do spin, and if you have questions for Ruvain and I, more for Ruvain for the injury, please give us a shout out on Twitter. Ruvain, why don't you tell everybody where you could be reached and what you're working on?
You can follow me on Twitter at MLB Injury Guru, where I tweet out injury updates daily. I also have a weekly in-season article in Rotoboulder, which another article is actually coming out later this week, discussing these players as well as others, talking about who's injured, how long they're going to be out for, and who's next up.
Yep, and you can reach me at ATCNY on Twitter. I'll have an article up on Rotoballer in the next day or so about finding some multi-category offensive players, sort of a 2021 addition to the 2020 Baseball Article of the Year. So I'm excited for that to come out. And you can read the rest of my work over at Fangraphs at Sportsline. ATC projections are up. Going to be updated continuously up until opening day. So check them out. They're up on all the sites that I work for. Go see them right now. All right. Well, thanks again, Ruvain, for this fantastic injury update show. From all of us here at Beat the Shift, see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Beat the Shift podcast presented by Fangraphs. Follow us on Twitter at beat_shift_pod.